there was no obvious injury that was going to keep us from seeing this, and yet we're not going to get to see this. It's the biggest bummer. We were scheduled to record after the epic Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic showdown.
Boo! What a bummer, man.
What a bummer. Joel Embiid sitting out tonight's game. Therefore, we did not have to wait until after that game to record because while the outcome of said game might be interesting, what we were bargaining for is not going to happen. The first time they met, we saw Joel Embiid have 47 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, and 2 steals. And I guess he just wants to sit on that. I mean, Jokic was 24, 8, and 9, 7 turnovers in the game. But anybody that watched that game, I mean, it was the signature moment of the Embiid amazing season where he has led the league in scoring. But you just had that interview come out where he kind of took a, I don't want to say veiled shot, but he made it known what he thought about defensive analytics. And I think everybody knew who he was talking about, and talked about how the goalposts he feels change from year to year on the MVP. And so you had, that interview comes out. There's this build up leading up to this game. Everybody wants to see it. There's a few weeks left in the season. MVP's kind of on the line. So it's going to have center stage. And then we get this news this morning that Embiid's not going to be playing in this game. And it's kind of like the story of the season, right, Kev? Where it's just been just colossal letdown after colossal letdown when it comes to watching the best players and watching the best players competing against each other on a regular basis. Because there was no obvious injury that was going to keep us from seeing this, and yet we're not going to get to see this. It's the biggest bummer.
It sucks. It sucks. It just sucks. I mean, this is a matchup that we've been looking forward to, hyping up since the last time Embiid and Jokic played. And Embiid completely outplayed him. It was an unbelievable performance. And we've been looking forward to this ever since, especially as the MVP, discourse has kind of tightened up, with a lot of the media talking about now Embiid over Jokic. Giannis, I still think, is overlooked in this whole discussion. But that's beside the point here. The fact is that with tonight's game, you talk about NBA ratings and interest. And, if you're a fan and you're trying to be invested, these are the games that matter, man. And it gets back to the same conversation we've had time and time again over the years. Too many games, where Embiid's on the third game and 3 out of 4, right? Maybe he shouldn't have played the last back-to-back in preparation for this one. But the fact is that if the NBA had a schedule where you play twice a week, sometimes 3 times, if you have a national TV game or something like that, there'd be more incentive to play. If there were more incentive to have a higher seed in the standings, if the Sixers had to try to really fight to get the 2 seed, to get the second pick of the bottom seeds for their playoff matchup in the first round, maybe they would be more incentivized to not only play Embiid, but to play James Harden, who's also out for the game against Denver too. So, I mean, I'm just overall, we talk about solutions and this and that, about what the league could do, might do to solve these issues. But the fact is it's just a straight up bummer that Embiid and the Sixers staff is making the choice to have him sit out tonight of all nights. Of all nights. Against
you could have skipped any
Nikola
other game.
Jokic, of all nights.
You could have skipped any other game.
Sucks. It really just sucks. What do you think about Perk saying he's ducking smoke? He's ducking Jokic. Do you think that's fair to say?
Went on TV, said he's ducking smoke, and then he said he has an MVP vote. And it would affect the way he thinks about it. What about you?
Yeah, I got an MVP vote.
Well, no. Will it affect it?
Maybe.
It's something to take into consideration.
You asked me during our live show last Tuesday, where do I have Giannis and Embiid? I got them neck and neck. I get Giannis 1, Embiid 2, Jokic 3. That's what I've had. I haven't redone that ordering, since this news this morning.
Imagine if he skips Embiid later this week.
Yeah, I know.
They've got, Giannis. If he skips Giannis. So Embiid, there's 2 more games this week. I mean, look, this was all set up to be an amazing week for the NBA. Especially with, college basketball. Its Final Four is not exactly filled with people going to be talking about Duke versus Carolina this year, right? You've got Embiid versus Luka. You've got Embiid versus Giannis. You've got Boston versus Milwaukee. You've got a Cavs-Knicks game that's going to be taking place this week, which could be a first-round matchup. You've got the Nuggets playing against the Warriors and the Suns, teams that they could feasibly see in round 2. So if we're looking for a playoff preview coming up, and that's in addition to what we were going to see tonight with Nuggets versus Sixers, which could very well be a finals preview, certainly was going to be a MVP favorites showdown between the two. This still got a chance to be a really, really good week, but this is the bummer of all bummers. I thought it was fascinating when I was scrolling through today. I did see somebody put up the stat that since 1978, every MVP has played at least 70 games. And that after tonight, if Embiid plays every other game this season, that will get him to 68. That's 44 years of NBA history.
That's very interesting.
Fascinating. And wouldn't that be the absolute perfect cherry on top of how the NBA is right now, right? Where it's like, yeah, for 44 years, we've had the winner of the MVP play at least 70 of the games, but not anymore. Now the winner of the MVP plays 68 games. And I'm not telling anybody that should be a massive demerit. I've made my opinion very clear. Joel Embiid wins the MVP. Fine by me. If any of those 3 guys were to win it or somebody were to vote for them, I don't think it's crazy. I think there are legitimate arguments that can be made for all of them. That being said, it would mark NBA history for the MVP with the least games played since 1978. It would be kind of funny if this was the year, considering we have spent the entire year bitching about guys not playing.
Well, I guess that, that discount, like Giannis had 63 games during the pandemic shortened season.
Yeah.
Like games like, seasons like that.
Full season.
The lockout years and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just clarifying that.
Right.
It's also like I saw the Shams interview with Embiid this morning, and I'm like getting hyped up seeing the quotes. I'm like, yo, dude, this is gonna be intense tonight. And then the Woj bomb drops saying he's not playing. I mean, it's a bad look. Obviously, Embiid doesn't make the editorial choice of when that interview drops, but when the interview is going to drop,
100%.
Which is why your agency, your team, whoever, you make the choice to do the interview. Every player needs to agree to these interviews. Like a player doesn't get, Joel Embiid doesn't get forced to do an interview with Shams Charania. He says yes.
Yes.
Any player that interviews with me, they say yes to doing it. They don't get forced into doing it. So you do that interview and then you don't play. It is a bad look. It is.
Yeah, it stinks.
It just sucks, man.
Look, I will say this, though, Kev.
I was looking forward to that.
Me too. And then we were going to get to record after it, and it was, very well going to swing the balance in the MVP if Jokic ended up coming back and on his home floor, smacked him around, because that would mean Jokic
Tim Bontemps is due to do his next straw poll. I'm sure it's happening this week, coming soon.
Well, Jokic was about to, take care of business with Giannis and then take care of business with Embiid back to back, because we just saw the Giannis one over the weekend, that matchup. And so, man, I don't know. It's a shame.